What's good? What's good? We got Noah Lyles literally right here, bro. It don't get no better than this. We live from all three different angles. You feel me? So let's go ahead and get started. So the first segment is called The Real You with some fun, cool questions, nothing too serious. So first, what is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram, by far.
By far?
By far.
But you be on Twitter doing a live chat.
You see, I only started doing that this year, though.
Oh, okay.
But I have the most followers. I put in the most work on Instagram. Like, a lot of people don't know that in my first 3 years of being on social media, it was my goal to get 100,000 followers, like, by myself without making, like, a U.S. team and, like, winning and people being like, oh, now I'm good followers. Like, no, I worked for those 100,000 followers.
Okay. Hey, let it be known. You worked for it. So, indoor or outdoor, if you can choose one of the
outdoor. Man, they ain't got no event for me indoor. What am I going to run, the 60? And the 4? What am I going to do with that?
Okay, 100 or 200?
200. That's my wife right there.
Really?
Is that even like a question?
Fast at both, bro.
Of course I'm fast at both. I'm a sprinter.
But you love it too.
That's my wife.
Okay.
That's my wife.
Okay. So most embarrassing track and field experience so far.
So when in my first year, 2017, being a pro, I actually did get injured running my first 19. Oh, wow. So I went to a special doctor and got healed, and it was a painful treatment and all that. But I was like healthy enough to where I thought I could still run at USA's. So I'm at USA's, and I run the first round of the 200, and I come back with the fastest time and all that. But I wasn't really in like my leg was swollen, and I was like, shoot, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to run. Yeah. But we were like, all right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw you in the ice tub, and we're gonna get somebody to work on you, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I said, yeah, everything but the ice tub.
So you anti-ice tub?
I hate ice baths. So literally, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Well, my thing is frozen. Whatever, they got yours.
Okay, we're cool.
I don't really care. So you could log off or anything. Anyway, I'm literally I'm there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting in that ice tub. And literally, it's like Justin Gatlin, Isaiah Young, Kenzo Cotton, all staring at me, trying to get in this ice tub. This is me straddling the ends, trying to get my butt into, and I had to get my hamstring in. That's the worst part. It wasn't my calf or my foot. It was my hamstring. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. It's just like, my coach walked away because he already knows how bad it was. And everybody's just watching me and laughing, trying to get in it. I'm over here, one leg in, one leg out. Guess how long I stayed in that ice tub?
How long?
3 minutes.
Oh my God! I didn't even know to go down.
It's not. It was a failed attempt.
Were they laughing at you, or were they just?
I didn't laugh, and I understood because it was funny. Yeah. Like if I was watching myself, I'd be laughing.
Dang, that's crazy. So like, what do you use to recover besides ice baths then, since you don't like them?
Oh, I got a hot tub.
Okay.
My body loves heat. Okay. My body doesn't really like ice all that much. Like ice baths are like emergencies. Like I've taken maybe 1 ice bath this year so far. Okay. If I make it past 3 ice baths, there's a problem. Like this was a bad year.
Yeah. Sheesh. Okay, so most memorable experience so far.
That's so hard because I have so many.
You do. I'm not gonna lie.
Like there was a time like I broke the 300-meter world record, and then there was a time I ran like the 4th fastest time. Well, it's now the 5th fastest time. There was when I made the Olympic team. There was when I won world championships. Like there was a lot of moments that like I could put down, and even like before that, it was like when me and my brother were on the first senior teams when we were on the world relays in 2019 together. Like that was a huge moment for us because we had never been on the team together before then. Like there's so many moments. It's really hard to choose, but definitely like I'm gonna say for now. I'm gonna say Yokohama, the World Relays experience, because not only did I get to go on the same team with my brother, but we were there and we got to experience Japan together. And we're both huge anime people, and we were just really into it.
Hey, that's a son. That's fire, bro. Doing it with your bro, we definitely gonna get into that. But have you ever been starstruck?
No.
And you've seen like Usain Bolt, like you've seen.
I've only met Usain Bolt once. Guess where we met?
On the track?
In the doctor's office. Oh. When I got injured in 2017, like I said earlier, we went to the same doctor.
Wow.
And remember, when in 2017 everybody was like curious if Bolt was going to run because this is going to be his last year and all that stuff, we were at the same doctor getting treated for the same.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. So you have to be starstruck. Okay. So
and I've met some like top tier actors too.
Like who? Like give us an example.
Like okay, so you know the guy who plays Jim in The Office?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met him.
You met him?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he FaceTimed me because so my uncle sent out an email to him saying like, oh, my nephew's a huge Office fan, he just made the Olympic team, and he FaceTime called me. But it was funny because I also was sponsored by Comcast, who owns NBC, who owns The Office,
right.
and so I don't know if that. I always thought that was going to be the way that I meet somebody from The Office, but it was just happened. My uncle just reached out, and I was like, yeah, that was like really cool.
Man, that's fire. That's fire. Okay, so where on the street is used to be a gymnast. So what is your favorite gymnast moment? Like, if you can remember one, like what was your favorite event in the gym?
Well, I was on the trampoline and I was on the floor.
Okay.
I never got to compete because it was very expensive and we were a single black family, so money was tight.
Yeah.
But they did know that they saw that I had a lot of talent and they wanted me really bad, but it just didn't work out. But I love the trampoline.
Okay.
That's definitely where I'd stay. And I even had a trampoline in my backyard. And I always said when I go pro and I'll buy a trampoline, and I'm so disappointed in myself because I never bought it. Because it truthfully it'd be too much energy to try and jump on that trampoline.
Yeah,
especially in Florida.
Too hot.
That sun would have drained me.
It's too hot.
Yeah. So when I retire.
You used to high jump, bro. What happened? Did you never get back into it, or it just was a high school thing?
Look.
I don't want that many events.
They pay me to run. They said, hey, Noah, we want to pay you to run the 100, the 200, and maybe one day the 400.
Okay.
They didn't come up to me and say, we want you to do high jump. And even if they did, I jumped 5'8" in high school. I mean 6'8", 6'8", my bad, 6'8".
Yeah.
There's no way that I could compete with even the collegiates. I never even went to nationals, high school nationals. I never even went to high school nationals. My greatest claim to fame in the high jump is that I beat Grant Holloway one year in the high jump. That's my greatest claim.
You heard that, Grant?
Yeah, it was Virginia Tech. It was our senior year, and I beat him, and that was my greatest accomplishment. And I was so happy. And that's also when I jumped my highest, and then he beat me at States.
So how high you think you could jump right now?
I could probably jump at least 7'2".
Okay.
I definitely believe that I could jump 7'2".
Okay, so when the mixtape dropping, bro? You be rapping? I see your story with the
problem,
bars, bro.
The problem is I was actually signed to a music manager earlier this year.
Wow.
And she got cancer.
Dang.
And she had to quit being a music manager. And this literally happened right before Doha. And I was like, okay, I don't have time and energy to put in trying to find a new person.
Right.
And we actually had a plan to be rolling out at least 3 tracks this whole summer. We were planning on maybe even performing live in the off season. And then that all came to a halt. We had people on standby to be pushing out, ads and all this other stuff. All the things that I couldn't do by myself, it was coming, and it had to stop. And I was just like, dang, because now I got this whole catalog of music that needs to be legalized. It needs to be mastered, engineered, and it sucks. It does.
That's what's up though. How much time you spend in the studio?
So the studio that I actually have one in my house. Yeah. So I probably would spend more than 24 hours a week, maybe 30 hours a week.
So you be in there.
Yeah, once I decide that I'm actually if I choose a day to make music, I'll be in there all day till literally from 7 a.m. to probably 12 a.m.
Wow, that's what's up. I love that. That's it's kind of like a second job.
Oh yeah, it's definitely where I release a lot of my stress.
I was just gonna say that.
And a lot of people think I make a lot of hyper music. I have some hype songs, but that's not actually the type of music that I love to make.
So what kind of music are you going for?
If I had to explain it, it'd probably be a mix of like Common, J. Cole, and Kendrick.
Okay. So that like story, like you actually talking about.
I'm definitely a storyteller.
Okay.
In my music,
I love that. Okay, so for those who don't know, y'all, this is Real Talk with the one, the only Noah Lyles. So let's go ahead and get started. So you grew up in Gainesville, Florida. How was that besides the heat?
So I grew up 8 years in Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
And I loved it.
Okay.
First of all, even though I was in a cult. So we went to this church in Gainesville. It was definitely a cult. And but some of my best friends went there, and I still am friends with them to this day. We moved after when I turned 8. We moved because we found out the church was corrupt, and we left with some other church members, some deacons and pastors, to start a new church in North Carolina. So that North Carolina is actually where I started my track journey. But I lived there till I was 8 till about, I want to say 14, 15. And then I moved to Maryland for a year. Then I moved to Alexandria, Virginia for the rest of my high school career, half of middle school, high school career, and then finally I turned pro and went to Florida, back to Orlando, Claremont area. But yeah, I loved Gainesville. I loved it. But what's funny is when we moved with the other pastors to start that church, they ended up doing the same thing. So we had to leave that church.
Jeez. So do you like the East Coast?
I love the East Coast. I love it. Every part of it. And what's funny now is that since I've lived in almost up and down, I now consider myself having a neutral accent. Like it's not southern, it's not northern. Like you can't really place it.
I definitely can agree. I can tell like how you're talking. It's very like neutral. It's not, you don't have that like slang like I have, that southern like country little. And
I used to have it as a kid. I used to. My dad used to say that every time we would talk, we would be like, "Mama." And he used to be, he gets so mad because he was born in New Jersey. So he had a very strong northern accent.
Yeah, them accents up there is crazy. So first of all, in sports, he was a gymnast. So how did you get started with track?
My dad, so if people don't know, both of my parents were track and field athletes. And my dad ended up being a track coach. And he's coached for many years. We've watched him coach, but he started coaching this younger group because this is the first time he went into like youth. Usually he'd be in collegiate or like JUCO. And we were watching the kids run, and me and my brother out there, and we had just come from we had an off day of basketball practice, and we were watching them, and we're like, "Yo, Dad, these kids are slow." And he was like, "Well, they're not supposed to be going all out." I'm like, "Well, they're still going slow for not going all out." It's like, well, if you think that you're so fast, go out there and prove it. So me and my brother went out there and we beat all the kids and we finished the workout and we were fine and everything and we were wearing jeans.
Whoa!
And basketball shoes.
What?
Yeah.
Jeans
and basketball shoes.
What? That's wild.
And we already knew we were fast, but that was like another testament.
So after that, your dad was like, "Okay, so now y'all are actually track stars."
Yeah. Well, we didn't actually start. Like, it took us the next track season for us to actually start. And we did it with this local, rec club, and everybody was slow. So we quit. And we went to play basketball for another year. And we come back, I get introduced to high jump, and high jump is what I fell in love with, and that's what made me really get into the track career. And when I got to about 8th grade to middle school, I learned I was actually really fast in the 200. And that's when me and Josias had our dream that we were going to make the Olympic team in 2016 because it was 2012 at the time. And I said the story so many times.
But you lead us right into what I was about to get to. So 2016, you've been that clearly. And you went to the trials, placed fourth, but did get the national high school record and went to under 20s and double gold medals, I'm pretty sure. Two gold medals at the
the 100 and then the 4x1 with Michael Norman.
Right. So what led you to go pro out of high school? Like, were you nervous at all making that decision?
So in 2012, we had the goal that we were gonna make the 2016 team, and then in 14, Josephus had come back from the Nike Elite Camp, and he met with a lot of pros and their coaches and a few agents. And he had a conversation with them, and he was like, "We're gonna go pro." And he came back and he told me this, and I was just like, continue.
I'm interested.
He's like, I'm intrigued to go on. And he's like, look, bro, I saw what they're doing. If we're gonna shoot for this Olympic team, we might as well say we're gonna go pro with it. Yeah. And I said, shoot, I didn't plan on going to college anyway.
Okay.
So our mom heard this, and she was like, no. But after a few months, she was like, okay.
I see it. I can see it.
The only way I would allow this is if we did our complete research on it. We found a perfect agent, a perfect coach, everything fall in line, and God said yes.
Okay.
And they have to be offering the right amount of money. We can't be just going after anything that they dangle in front of us. And like, yeah, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
And from there, we went on the process of not only looking for a college that would fit us, but also for, doing our research on what type of coaches are out there, what do shoe brands usually focus on, what are they looking for in young athletes, or if they do sign them, what's that marker that they say, okay, we're willing to risk it, and then finding an agent was probably the hardest part.
The hardest.
Sure.
So finding an agent was probably the most difficult part of the whole process.
Yeah, because we really had to find somebody who got our dream.
Both of y'all, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just us, it was individual. Like me and Angel Stevens have our own dream in this. And we want you to know that even though we're along for the ride, he might want to go a different way in his track career, and I want to go a different way. Like, I love working with music, doing interviews, going out and being the face of the public. Steve isn't all that into that.
Yeah.
But he loves photography and getting into the arts and crafts and being behind the scenes sometimes. And of course he loves going out there and running, but we just have our different sides.
Different passions outside of track.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you feel like the experience was a little easier having your brother on side of you, or like did it make it, what was it easier? Was it more enjoyable just having somebody you can just literally, who's going through the same thing you're going through?
I'm actually going to say no.
Wow. Okay.
Well, it depends. Are we referring to before we turned pro or after?
Like turning pro, like after turning pro. Having your brother.
No, it actually is kind of harder.
Oh, wow.
Because our journeys are so different.
Yeah.
It is easier to have somebody there, but when somebody is doing good and somebody's not at the same level at the time, that's very frustrating for both sides. Yeah. And it's like, just think about being my mom at those moments. I think that's the best way to describe it. You're happy on one hand, but you're also trying to make sure that the other is not falling into a depression state. And it's the same thing for me, and sometimes it's hard to go out there and be like, is it okay that I can celebrate? Knowing that my brother, who has the same goals and aspirations, is sometimes not on the pathway that I'm on, is not as quick and fast. So that's where I'd say it's not easier. Yeah. And anybody who's been in a relationship and with another athlete, especially in your own same sport, probably knows the same feeling.
Yeah, that's a different view. I was not expecting you to say that. That's crazy.
But the things that make it very enjoyable is you always will have somebody to celebrate. No matter what, you guys know what you guys are going through. You have somebody that connects with you. I think the hardest thing for not just athletes, but people who reach a very high level in life in terms of acting and sports, being a lawyer, a doctor, is that they now are leaving their social groups, and you're growing and growing, but you have to leave behind a lot of people because they're not going to grow with you, and because of that, you now start to feel alone. But having my brother always there means I'm always going to have somebody to connect with, and I'm not going to have to go to outside sources so much to find that connection and that happiness to share.
Yeah. So, like, speaking of just you moving so fast, like, you were a track star, like, literally at the Olympic trials, I feel like is when you, like, just blew up. So, like, was it hard balancing that, like, managing that public eye on you all the time?
Yes and no. I'm going to just put it like this. When me and my brother watched the 2015 World Championships, we were in high school, we were juniors, and we were disappointed.
Okay.
I'm just put it like that. We were disappointed. We were just like, when we get on the scene, U.S. is never going to lose. There's always going to be somebody with USA across the line coming in first, second, and third. We're gonna be winning relays. Like I don't. If I'm on the relay, we're not losing.
Yeah.
Like I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
You know, this is not what. This is not the USA that I had grown up listening to and hearing about. Because my dad used to run during the Michael Johnson era.
Okay.
So it was just USA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Literally, yeah.
And that's like the dominance that I said we're gonna come in, and that's what we're gonna establish. So when I finally did turn pro, I was like, yeah, I'm here to dominate. I'm not here to get starstruck or be asking for favors or be like, oh, let me get a picture. No. I'm not here for that. Y'all don't deserve this title that I've been watching get passed around. This title's going to stick with one person, and that's going to be me.
Okay, so 2017, you won your first senior national title in the 300 meters.
Yeah.
So, like, is there anything that kind of sticks out from that moment, your first, like, senior championship, USA senior championship?
No, not really. I mean, because I was there for the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
After you go to the Olympic trials,
everything kind of like...
It's so downgraded.
Yeah.
It's so downgraded. Like, I think right now, this World Championships is probably the biggest feeling I've ever had at a U.S. National Championships because World Championships is going to be here.
Right.
And so many people want to be seen and known while this is happening. And to be honest, in the 200, there's decent amount of talent. I'm not going to lie. So I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, I am too. I'm not going to lie. So do you feel like sometimes as a pro, like you have to pick like which season you want to focus on as far as like indoor and outdoor? Like, for example, this year was Worlds Indoor and Worlds Outdoor. Like, did you feel like you had to like pick which one you wanted to focus on?
Me personally, not really.
Okay.
I will always choose outdoor because outdoor is where the money's made.
Yeah.
Like you should hear the conversations of all the sprinters when we're really in the indoor season. After the races, it's you know we're putting on our clothes after the race, and it's just like, man, I can't wait till outdoor get here. I'm tired of these, man. I stood up after 3 meters. I didn't even know the race was over. He run through the line, hitting mats and shit. I'm like, what is this? Like, I ain't got time for this. Like, bro, I ain't even start my speed training yet. Me neither. Me too. Okay, you might need to settle down there, bro. You won today. You don't get to say that.
I'm there. That's funny. I'm going to listen to some of them conversations for sure. Okay, so 2019, you won your first World Championship. You feel like you got to live in that moment and like soak it all in?
No.
Dang.
No.
I hate that.
I'm gonna tell you, winning a world title is as stressful as they say.
Really?
As the amount of pressure that actually goes in knowing that you're supposed to win or trying to obtain that gold or that those medals is extremely heavy because it now comes down to external things. Because everybody's going to want a piece of you. The track part is easy. Running is easy. The training is easy. It's having people want to drug test you, have people wanting to have come in and have 5 interviews with you, even though you just talked to them a week ago. Having a brand come up to you and be like, "Oh, we want to sponsor you." I'm like, "Well, you should have been here like the beginning of the season when I could write you in." You know, having people come up and be like, "Oh, we want to do a commercial with you." Yeah, I don't got time. We'll pay you. I don't got time. We'll pay you this much. That's a lot of money.
I got time.
Well, if you come by Thursday at 5 o'clock.
So it's a lot of like outside stuff to the place.
And then on top of that, once you actually gain the medal, it's amplified by 5.
Wow.
Easily.
Wow.
I remember I was having a conversation after Worlds in 2019, and I literally sat down. I was so excited, you know, because we had just won the 4x1 as well. And we broke the American record, and this is the first time we won the relay. Like I said, if I'm on the relay, we are not losing. All I gotta say is I wasn't on that relay at the Olympics. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I was all excited, and my agent. I'm sitting down with both my agent and my oh gosh, I forgot her title name, but she's basically in charge of getting me sponsors, deals, commercials, all that stuff. And she works with my agent. So I sit down and I'm like, "Yo, this is awesome. I got big plans for this off season." It's like, well, you kind of got a booked off season.
Wow.
I'm like, well, how booked are we talking about? Like a month? Like he's like, well, what's it this year? What's this month? October? Like we just got into October?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next year. Huh?
3 months?
It's like, well, Adidas wants you to come to Japan in like a few weeks after this, and then they want to fly you to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Will you do a commercial there? NBC wants to do a week of field day, basically where we do commercials, photo shoots, sponsored things.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola wants to do stuff with you because they were one of my sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Omega wants to do something with you later on in the year, and I'm just like, so no off season?
Dang.
No.
That's
and
rough.
what's crazy was I'm still getting paid for this, but I didn't feel like I was getting paid for how much stress I was literally going through.
Yeah.
And I was actually very thankful that COVID had came and postponed the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because there was no way I was going to be prepared. I was just so stressed and exhausted from that situation. And I remember I had a lot of meetings with my manager and agent about how we're going to taper that. Like, we're not ever going to have to go through that again.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. That's some insight, bro. Y'all better, that's some insights. Like, I have never heard that. That's so much.
Yeah.
That's so much.
And I can tell you more, but we would be here forever.
Yeah, that's so much. Like, so, did you even get to celebrate?
Will Clay threw a party.
Okay.
Will Clay threw a party on the last day of World Championships.
Okay.
I had a flight I had to leave at 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Party started at 12 a.m. Stayed there till 3 a.m. They almost missed the bus to catch the flight, and that was the last time I celebrated.
Dang.
Yeah, for the whole year. I remember literally getting calls from my friends and like seeing our group chats like, hey, we're going out tonight. Must be nice.
Dang.
I'm not even in the same state.
Yeah.
And I'm not going out with my mom, who I take with me everywhere because I'm not about to be traveling the country and the world by myself after Worlds. I would have definitely gotten depressed.
Yeah. Dang. Well, this year, bro, yeah.
Oh,
I'm a those.
I throw after that year. I said, okay, I am now throwing a big party after every championship and after every year. So I've actually thrown some pretty wild parties.
All right, this not me invite.
Hey, this year everybody is invited. It's in Bermuda now.
Oh.
But we throwing an all-day yacht party and an all-night club party.
Okay.
2 days.
I'm gonna have to pop up.
Yeah.
So 2020, you claimed your first Olympic medal, your bronze medal. So I have to bring this up because it low-key just pissed me off. I was doing my research. I saw your page, your Wikipedia page, and it was like could only manage the bronze. And I'm like, well, like, what does that mean?
That means exactly what they wrote it to mean.
But like, I don't like that. Like, how what was your reaction towards your finish?
I hate my medal.
Okay.
I can't stand looking at that thing. It's not even in my trophy case.
Wow.
And yet so many people ask for it.
Wow.
I had so much expectations for myself that I had planned on getting the gold. Like I was, and the biggest problem was the way that the season turned out. That was by far my worst year ever. Wow. 2020 was, or 2021 was by far my worst year ever. Yeah. I had just come off of depression medication. My massage therapist was dealing with a huge medical issue. So I actually didn't see her for 2 months before I got seen by her again. And her assistants are nowhere close to what she is in skill level. So I was really struggling. I had a hamstring issue for almost all of indoor. I think I ran like one race in indoor, and that was like the only week that I actually was able to like race because every other week I was dealing with something. Right. Even my body wasn't turning on like I wanted it to. Like I would come into a season and be like, yeah, I can run like 20. No, let's use a 150. I usually like run 14.9 by January.
Okay.
Like I can drop it with ease.
Okay.
And it took me a long time before I was running 14.9 again.
What?
And my use by this time, like I can't use this year because this year is by far different than every other year. Yeah. But my body was not turning on. Right. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I was struggling to find the time, the patience, and even going up in the USA's, like at Olympics, the Olympic trials, I was extremely stressed. Like literally, I felt like I had to pull from the bottom of my gut that 19.7 to win that US champion. Yeah. And then going to the Olympics, my knee swelled up. Mm-hmm. I ran every round with a swollen knee. In Olympics? I couldn't bend. I couldn't squat. Because it was painful. Yeah. That's how bad it was. I didn't know if I was going to run. Mm-hmm. Like every round was like a gamble.
So why were you so mad about your medal?
Because I still am Noah Lyles who expects to win.
Yeah. Okay.
Like. Literally, like, I just remember. I remember crossing the line and already knowing that I didn't win, and I remember already being so drained and tired, walking up to the blocks, and being like, "This is about to be the hardest thing I've ever done." And I remember, of course, we went to the press conference after the race. And this is when I actually really realized how bad journalists are. We sat in that press conference. 4 questions were asked. Andre, how do you feel about the race? You haven't gotten a gold medal. This is your first gold medal in any major championship. This must feel like, a great time coming. All right, okay, yeah, that's a good question. And like, Andre, are you going to run any more races after this? Y'all going to ask the second place runner a question? Or the third place runner a question? Or the guy who was supposed to win a question? Right. I think the fourth question was for Kenny. This must be a big moment for you, Kenny. And I was just thinking, does nobody want to know why I didn't win? Does nobody want to hear about this bum knee I've been running around with all week? Yeah. No? Okay. This was an Olympic level press conference. I've heard more questions asked to a high schooler on the side of a track by mile split. Yeah. I was shocked and disappointed, to say the least. Yeah. But the thing that I keep getting told by everybody is, do you know how many people won an Olympic medal? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, they only come around every 4 years. Like, literally, when you look at Safa Powell, don't have no Olympic medal. Tyson Gay, the American record holder, second fastest man ever to live, doesn't have an Olympic medal. Not even a relay. Like, when I put it in that perspective, I'm like, okay, yes, I am glad to have it. Yeah. It's just not what I want.
Yeah. So would you say that was kind of like the hardest adversity that you had to kind of go through, basically? Or is it something more?
It's probably the strongest fire that's ever been lit underneath my belly. Probably that.
Okay. So this is like my little segment where I have to get into like adversity, because this sport is like mental as hell. So like, is there any type of adversity that you have been through, and what did you use to kind of help you get through it?
Oh yeah, that injury that I got in 2017 was by far the hardest thing I've ever done. Okay. Because I was I think the second fastest runner in the world at that time. Okay. I was 19. I just run 19 seconds, and I was coming off that injury. And to heal myself, to get to the U.S. championships at that time, I literally went through a ton of injections. That doctor that I went to where I saw Bolt, he literally filled my leg up and my back with fluids, with like vitamins and I forgot minerals, and all this other stuff to like incubate and heal the muscle as fast as possible. And then they massage it out, and we do that every day. And these are some huge needles. Like, it was so painful. I literally called my mom during one of the sessions, and I said, Mom, if there's anything what childbirth is like, I am so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah.
This is a fraction of what this feels like. I am so sorry.
Dang.
It was so painful.
Yeah.
And I went through a week of that.
Mm-hmm.
I come back to the U.S. I couldn't even run. I could only walk.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom had literally flown down because she knew that I was like feeling bad because I was going through it.
Yeah.
We finally got to a point where I was running, and it looked like I was running without pain, and it looked like I could go out and race. So we go to U.S. Championships, and we go through the first round, and my leg is just swelled up, and I'm like, I don't. This isn't good. We get to the second day, and I woke up, and I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to run today. And I remember showing up to the track, and everybody knew that we were very on the edge of pulling out. Mm-hmm. And my coach would come over, and I'm like, do you think you can jog? And I looked at him, and I said, no, I can't. And and he was like, all right, I'm going to tell Mark, which is my agent, and they pulled me out of the race. And I remember crying that day. And it wasn't the fact that I had to pull out. It was the fact that the cameraman had literally walked and put the camera right there in front of my face.
No.
And I was just like, wow, I was supposed to win this.
Yeah. This
was supposed to be me going from 4th at the Olympic trials to my journey to winning a world championships.
Yeah.
And I remember it was at that moment that I just broke down. And my mom stood in front of me, and my coach went over and let the cameraman know and everything. But it was a really rough day. And I remember watching, I think Coleman won that, and I was just so furious. It was another one of those moments was like, I should have won that. Yeah. And I had to watch World Championships, one with a 20-point flat. And then I was just like, that is weak.
Yeah.
And I put in my notes in my mind, I will never let that happen if I show up to a World Championships. And I had to go back to that doctor after U.S. Championships and do the whole process again. And the worst thing happened. He came up to me and he said, I just did an MRI on your leg. There's nothing there. I said, what? All you needed was one more week.
Wow.
And you would have been perfectly healed.
Wow.
And I was just so heartbroken.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, 1 week? That's all I needed? 1 week?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And from there, my mom went back with me to Claremont, and we went back to the walking and the jogging and everything, and we took our time. And the greatest thing that happened out of that season was that I got injured so early. Because from that point, I never took anything for granted. I was very diligent in all my muscle building, my physical therapy, my massage therapy, bringing my team together. That was when I really brought my medical team together. They were kind of like bits and pieces, and they didn't really conversate. This is when everybody started conversating together. They were knowledgeable. I started kicking out people that I didn't really need. They were just there for one-time things. I don't need one-time people. I need full-blown commitments from everybody. And we actually went out, and I won the Diamond League Finals that year because they had just made the rule change that you don't need a certain amount of points to show up to win the whole thing. You now just need to win the final. And I remember when they made that rule change at the beginning of the year, and I said, that's stupid. Somebody could just come in, run one race and win the whole thing. Yeah. That was me. I did that. Walked away with 50,000. Beat the world champion, the U.S. champion. Yeah. Everybody. I was like, y'all are messed up.
Okay, so we always like to end my interviews with like something that someone has given you to help you get to this point, or just some advice to help someone who's like, in a good position trying to get to where you are.
Yeah. I have 150 stories, but I think the best way to explain this is talking about my mom. And it's funny enough, we haven't talked enough about her. Because anybody who's seen any of my interviews knows that I will go on long tangents about my mom.
Yeah.
But it's only because of how much she's actually done. So my mom used to run track, and of course she helped me and my brother become professional. She helped us, she was at college. We were going to go to the University of Florida, but we went pro instead. She is our manager. So we actually, once we turned pro, we said, we want you to quit your job and you're going to work for us now.
Hey.
And now she doesn't just manage us, but she manages a lot of other athletes as well. But I talk about her because she was the focus point of our team, and she still is to this day. And everybody will say team and be like, professional track's not a team sport. And to that, I will agree with you, but when you need your backup crew, I promise you, you do not want everybody in your backup.
Yeah.
Like all those fans, they're nice. They're nice. They're nice to have. They're pretty. They're shiny. They're cool. They can stay there. Because when I'm down, I'm gonna need a mom or a dad or a support crew that's gonna be there through the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Somebody to knock me back down to earth when my ego's getting too big. I need somebody that I can celebrate with that's not gonna be out to get something. I need somebody to tell me the things that are hard. If somebody's like, hey, we're going to a meet, but they don't want to give you your preferred lane. I need an agent that's going to tell me that. So I can make it. Don't be scared to tell me that. I don't need you to be scared of me. I want you to I hired you to tell me the truth. And I'm thankful that I got a coach and an agent that can tell me that every time, I'm a happy guy, but I know how to make my own decisions. But I put you here to, converse with me and help me make the best decisions. I need a medical staff that is going to be 100% with me. I also don't need everybody touching my body. A lot of people will be like, yeah, I'll just go and deal with whatever. I remember in 2019, my medical bill was the most expensive thing of that year. And I had went way over my medical bill. I was paying out of pocket for a lot of things because I knew that if I won this world championships, then I would have doubled the amount of money I was making that year. And it would have been worth it. Right. And it turned out to be very worth it. So having people that know what the goal is and what we're working towards, like that is the team. And I need you guys to be here for the long haul. I don't need somebody who's going to be here for a year. If I'm testing you out, I'm planning on keeping you on till I'm done. We might even be life partners. My chef, I just brought on my chef last year. He might be my life partner because I don't like to cook. My chiropractor will definitely be my life chiropractor. I'm not going nowhere. And my therapist, both my therapists, we're going to be working until y'all die. Because they're older women, but we're going to be talking to y'all then.
So a team, you got to have a good support team. I love that. Well, guys, your first round is Saturday?
Saturday, yes.
Saturday, so we're sending him love and prayers going up, you feel me? We have some people up in the live. I see there's one question up in here, so we're going to see what y'all
yeah, go ahead. Ooh. Yeah, I know we got a long extended table over here.